Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. This Ramadan is going to be very different for all of us, but something that we need to remember, and I've mentioned this hadith before, and that is to be positive. We need to remember that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Ajaban li amri al-mu'min," that the affair of the believer is very strange. It's a very wondrous thing. That means everything that the believer does, everything that happens to a believer is a wondrous thing. It's a marvelous thing. Inna amrahu kullahu lahu khayr. That everything that happens to a believer, then that will be good for them. Whether it's positive, whether it's a good thing, whether it's negative or it's a bad thing, it doesn't matter. Whatever happens to a believer, then that will be good for them. And the Prophet ﷺ said, وَلَيْسَ ذَلِكَ لِأَحَدٍ إِلَّا لِلْمُؤْمِنِ, and that this does not happen for anybody except for the believer. So that means we just need to concentrate on being good believers, good strong believers, and then everything that happens to us in life will be good for us. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, "In asabatu sarra'u shakar," that if good happens, then they are thankful to Allah. فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ, and that is better for him. وَإِنْ أَصَابَتْهُ الضَّرَّاءُ صَبَرَ, and if some hardship happens to them, for example, like this coronavirus that's hitting the world everywhere, in every country, every town, lots of people passing away, then the Prophet ﷺ said, "In asabatu dara sabr," that if something bad happens, then they have patience. فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ, and that is better for them. So what we need to concentrate in this Ramadan is to be a good, strong mu'min. That way, anything that's going to happen to us, anything that's going to be changed in this Ramadan is going to be better for us. Now, thinking about the usual things that happen in Ramadan, then we can see that this year, some of those things are not going to happen. So, for example, going to the masjid. We won't be able to pray Taraweeh in the masjid or any salah in the masjid. Now, if we look back to the time of the Prophet ﷺ, then we will realize that the Prophet ﷺ didn't pray Taraweeh in the masjid. He prayed it a couple of times, and then he went back to his house and he didn't come out to the masjid again. And when the people asked him about that, he said that he feared that Allah would make it obligatory. So the Prophet ﷺ, he would pray his own Taraweeh in his house. And that happened throughout his whole life. And that happened throughout the whole life of Abu Bakr when he was the leader of the Muslims afterwards. And that happened during the time of Umar, until Umar himself decided that he would gather the people on one imam in the masjid. But he himself, Umar, he would pray his own Taraweeh at home. Yeah. So when you're praying at home, your own Taraweeh, you are the imam of your own salah. You can choose the length of your salah. You can choose the surahs that you're going to read. You can choose the length of your ruku'. You can choose the length of your sujood. If you want to get close to Allah, make more dua, nobody's going to rush you there. If for some reason you want to read a shorter surah, you can do that. So when you're the imam of your own salah, that's always going to be better for you, except for in the obligatory prayers, the fara'id. Now, during this Ramadan, we will be able to get closer to Allah. Meaning that when we are praying our own salah, there will be nobody around us. And when there's nobody around us, then that kind of prayer, that kind of worship is more pure for Allah. So, for example, if you've woken up in the last third of the night, say 1 or 2 hours before suhoor, that's the best time to pray your salah, because that's the best time to pray your Taraweeh salah, because that is the time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends from his throne. He says, who is asking me so I can give them? Who's asking for forgiveness so I can forgive them? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he descends from his throne and he comes down to the sky of this world and he's asking that. So that is a blessed time. It's a magnificent time. Every single prophet prayed at that time. And it's the way of the pious people, the good people of the past. They always used to pray at that time. So this Ramadan, we've got that fantastic choice. Ramadan, normally, they pray Taraweeh after Isha in the masjid. So we don't have a choice. You go there, you pray Taraweeh at that time. But it's not the best time to pray the night prayer, because Taraweeh is the night prayer. So the last third of the night is the best time for Taraweeh. So this is how we're changing a negative something that would be negative, like not being able to pray Taraweeh in the masjid, and we're changing it into a positive. We're looking on the bright side. And we're using that hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that if you're a believer, a firm believer, then anything that happens to you is going to be good. Now, something else that we need to think about is that during this lockdown, we will be at home, so we won't be going anywhere. So we've already spent quite a few weeks at home. And in fasting, we'll be at home as well. Now, think back to the time of the Prophet ﷺ when he used to go to Jabal Nur and into the Ghar Hira, into the cave there of Hira, and he used to climb. And it used to be quite. If you go to Mecca now, it's quite a walk from the Haram. It's quite a walk from the Kaaba to get there. Then you have to walk up this mountain. It's good 45 minutes maybe to get to the top there, and then you enter into that cave. Now imagine the Prophet ﷺ would take food with him. He would take dried food, so dates and cheese and water, and it would take a limited amount of food, and he would go up to that cave, and there'd be nobody there. The Prophet ﷺ would stay in that cave for weeks, and he would be worshipping Allah. Now imagine that. Think about that. We're at home now. We get bored. There's so many things for us to do. We've got the internet, we've got games, we've got books that we can read, we've got people to talk to. The Prophet ﷺ put himself in a situation. He didn't have to go there. Nobody told him to go there. This was before he became a prophet. And he went to that cave. Imagine the dark nights. I don't know if anybody of you have ever gone out camping or ever stayed outside during the night. You'll know how long that night is. Those of you who have made Hajj maybe, and you've stayed in Muzdalifah for that night, it's a long night. Just it feels really long because you don't have all the comforts around you. Now the Prophet ﷺ put himself in that situation. Why? So that he could get closer to Allah. He's thinking, fully focusing upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that cave, until we know that Angel Jibreel alayhi salam came to him and gave him the first few verses of Surah Al-Alaq there. So we will be going back to that sunnah. We will be going back to that situation of worshipping Allah in our homes, secluded. It's not even as tough as what the Prophet ﷺ will be doing. Imagine in a cave, days on end, nighttime is dark, there's no lights. Yeah, so we will be doing something not obviously to that level, but something sort of similar. So that's a positive. That's a positive that we are now secluding ourselves for Allah. We are secluding ourselves for Allah and trying to draw closer to him. Now, I'm sure there's probably lots of other things that we can think about that are going to be changed because we're at home in this Ramadan. But all of those things, think about how we can change them into a positive, and not to think about the negative side of things. And if we do that, then we will be really classified as a believer, because the Prophet ﷺ said only a believer can do that. Only a true, firm believer in Allah, the Day of Judgment, the paradise and the hellfire, only a true believer can turn every bad situation into a positive situation, into something that they can draw good from. So this Ramadan, inshallah, think about how you're going to read your own Taraweeh Salah at home. Think about which surahs you need to revise. You've got all day. You can revise, if you know 1, 2, 3 juz, revise those during the day. And then night time, if you can't get up in the last third of the night, if you can't get up 1 or 2 hours before suhoor, then pray after Isha. Make sure that you sleep during the day. So, alhamdulillah, we're at home. So, there's plenty of time, the sunnah to sleep after Salat al-Dhuhr there until Asr. Try and get that sleep there. So, then you'll be fresh for the night. So, if you can't pray Taraweeh in the last third, then pray after Isha. And pray with the surahs that you know. And we can use this time, inshallah, to get closer to Allah and use it as a great blessing. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.